So, in January of 2021, an anime called SK8 The Infinity started airing and very quickly garnered popularity and an active fan base. And in March of 2021, a friend told me, "Hey, do you want to watch an anime? I have one for you. I think you're gonna really like it." And we watched it, and she was wrong because I fucking loved it. As we were watching, I commented on how the show, at least the first few episodes, were a really good allegory for disability and accessibility. And she was like, "Oh, I hadn't thought about it that way." And I thought, hey, I'm sure there's other people who haven't thought it that way either. What if I made a video about this? So I'm making a video about this. Major spoilers for the first 3 episodes of Skate. If you've watched anything after that, you'll be fine. Also, if you want to die via alcohol poisoning, you can just do a shot every time I say like disability or accessibility or accommodations. Skate is about Deki and Danga, 2 teenage boys who become friends through their love of skateboarding and each other. Gay. But it's also about so much more. Like, they're both a part of this skateboarding community that have skate saunas, and they race each other in this really dangerous course at midnight called S. And you have to be invited to go in. Like, it's very like mysterious and cool. There's this really cool dude called Shadow, and also Cherry Blossom and Joe, who are obviously boyfriends, and this creepy fucking dude called Adam, who is very invested in like teenagers, and I need him to stop, please. My friend told me he's based on the Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sánchez, which is really something. And in the show, he's known as El Matador del Amor, which is just incredible. So Deki is 17 years old and a skateboarder, and he's just ready to info dump about skateboarding to anybody willing to listen, but nobody is. He has a part-time job at this skateboarding shop, and he knows how to make boards himself. He's like a full-on skateboarding nerd. It's really cute. But one fateful day, this kid called Danga starts going to his school. Danga just moved to Japan from Canada, where he's lived his whole life because his dad is Canadian. He's moved with his mom, who is Japanese, after she got a new job in Japan after his dad passed away. After an unsuccessful job interview, they run into each other in the street because Deki's skateboard rolls up to Danga, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to try it?" And Danga tries it, and he falls down. Whilst he's on the floor, Deki just starts skateboarding toward him, and before he runs him over, he does like an ollie over him. I think it's an ollie, I'm not sure, I'm not a skateboarder yet. I'm like very bad at it, but I'm trying. So yeah, he does the ollie, and Danga is very impressed, and Deki is like, "Hey, I could get you a board at my part-time job, you know?" And Danga is like, "Part-time job? I would like, please." The manager of the shop, who is an absolute daddy, hears them, and he's like, "I have a job for you." They have to do a delivery of a board that they've been fixing the next day in S, and Danga is like, "Yeah, I'll do that." So they start hanging out, and Deki fills him in on everything on the whole skateboarding thing. The next day arrives, and they have to go. Deki accidentally brings the wrong bag with a really beat up skateboard in it that he hasn't finished fixing. So the guy that they had to deliver it to gets really pissed, and he's really rude about it. Could you be nice to these teenagers, please? He's supposed to race against Shadow, and if he loses, Shadow is going to make him get a really misogynistic tattoo of his girlfriend. So he's like freaking out, and he tells Reki that he has to skateboard in his place, and Reki's like, "What about no?" And meanwhile, Ranga is just duct taping his feet to this skateboard, and he just says, "I'll do it." They're all like, "No, because you're going to die." And then Cherry Blossom comes over, and you can tell he like calls the shots around here, and is like, he's on the board, he wants to compete, he can. So it's official, Danga is going to compete. So the race begins, and Shadow just flies off. Danga is just like standing there on the board, and it's really cute. Then Danga crouches and starts pushing himself with his hands until he gets to the beginning of the slope, and from then it's just insanity love. Earlier in the episode, in Danga's house, we can see a picture of baby him and his parents doing snowboard. Turns out Danga has been snowboarding for the last 15 years of his life. He is now 17, basically his entire life. He is an amazing snowboarder, so he very quickly gets comfortable on the board and catches up to Shadow. Honestly, this scene is undescribable with words. The animators have done a stellar job. Like, it's just beautiful. It's this dude doing snowboard movements on a skateboard. It's just gorgeous, so please go watch it, and you will probably get hooked and watch the whole thing. It's a really good show. Please watch the whole show. So yeah, he wins. Everyone's freaking out because like the new kid who just snowboarded beat Shadow, and Deki's super happy for his friend. So now Deki is officially teaching Ranga how to skateboard, and this is what I wanted to talk about. So Ranga has been snowboarding for the last 15 years of his life, so there's no way he can just drop everything in his muscle memory and just starts skateboarding from zero. He struggles with his feet not being attached to the board, and also the amount of stability the board gives him, and the way that the board behaves when it turns. And these aren't just minor inconveniences for him. They are generally stopping him from unleashing his full potential as a skateboarder. And Deki could have easily said, too bad, this is what skateboards are like. This is how you learn how to skateboard. If you can't do it this standard way, then you're fucked. This is something disabled people hear a lot in our lifetimes. But he doesn't say that. Instead, he's like, oh, these are problems for you? Let's fix them. Not let's fix you, Danga. Let's fix what's stopping you. You struggle because you're used to your feet being attached to the board and now they're not? Well, why shouldn't they be? If it's going to help you. So Reki makes him a board and puts straps in it so that Danga can have his feet attached, but he can still move them if he wishes to. He also makes the board wider than a normal skateboard so that the axles are more far apart and there's more stability, which is something he needs. And at no point is this seen as a problem, it's just the reality. Danga doesn't have to feel bad about this, about needing accommodations. He deserves to skateboard just by virtue of wanting to. Shortly after, the straps break as he's skateboarding, so Reki has a really cool idea to put a clip thingy on the board so that he can have his foot secured, but he can also move it around if he wants to. A little bit later, they're skateboarding around the city and Danga keeps falling at the same spot. He observes that snowboards have the same amount of friction all the time, I guess, but skateboards, they can go really fast, but once they start to turn, they lose velocity, and that is kind of hard for him to get used to. So whilst getting chased by a cop immediately after, Reki falls because he trips on the wheel part of an office chair, and he has an idea. He mods Langa's skateboard so that the axles aren't fixed all the way and they move with the skateboard so as to mimic what Danga is used to with snowboarding. And Danga becomes a better skateboarder because of this. They're both super excited by it and it's beautiful to see. It's also great characterization. It shows that Reki is incredibly talented and creative and resourceful and welcoming and not gatekeepy at all and loves Danga and wants to see him succeed. It also shows that Danga is very knowledgeable and he also is very aware of the areas where he struggles and he's not ashamed by it. He's genuinely excited about Reki's help and he loves his board in all his accommodationness. When I first watched this, I was so happy. As a neurodivergent person, I'm very used to being expected to perform the way a neurotypical would in environments that are quite disabling to me, or to adapt on my own with no outside help, which can be exhausting. Or I'm made to feel guilty for requesting accommodations. To illustrate this, I want to share with you a Twitter thread by scientist, educator, and rapper, and soon-to-be doctor, Raven the Science Maven, who has ADHD. If you don't already follow her Twitter and would like to learn about science in a fun way, you should definitely follow her. So, I have ADHD and I want to share something that happened. I recently did a shoot with a network. They didn't have a teleprompter and were feeding me lines verbally. They said it took me twice as long to complete filming than other people have and were visibly disappointed. I asked them several times, please don't feed me the lines. I can't remember these even though I know you just said it to me, and these are simple short sentences. They didn't have a teleprompter and refused to accommodate me at all. It was very frustrating. I almost cried. Oh my god. I said, I have ADHD and I am trying my best to recall what you were saying, but I really can't do this how you're asking me to do it. I then had to explain that memory recall tests are literally how kids are diagnosed, and they had a front seat to me failing this test hard. I can tell they never worked with a scientist with any type of learning impairments or disabilities, and I definitely felt judged. They seemed to not be able to connect the fact that I was sharing really cool science knowledge with the fact that I also have an impairment. I was super disappointed by the lack of accommodations, and I wanted to walk off the set so bad when they told me they wouldn't put the words on a screen for me to read even after I almost started crying. It was just a matter of copying and pasting. First of all, I strongly relate because I also have ADHD and I'm trying to repeat what I have written down here and it's so hard. The straight up refusal to accommodate her is so frustrating. She let them know how the process would be better for them and her, and they just didn't care. Why? I generally cannot think of a reason. And the fact that they were normally people are faster at this. Yeah, because they don't have memory issues. This is not Raven's fault. This is your fault. Don't you dare be disappointed here. Way too often, disabled people are seen as the problem and the solution is up to us only. We are expected to overcome our disabilities somehow. We are left to fend for ourselves, to advocate for ourselves with no outside help. We are at most an afterthought, if we are thought about at all. I found an article that a part of making my blood boil is a pretty good representation of what I'm talking about here. Chelsea J is a disabled model and wheelchair user. She was in contact with staff at the fashion show, The Clothes Show, that's the name, for like about a year about the lack of representation when it comes to disabled models in their shows. So they invited her to speak at a seminar about this. They started without her 10 minutes early. And when it was her turn to like go on stage and speak at the seminar that they invited her to, there was no wheelchair ramp, so she couldn't access the stage. The Clothes Show. Fuck you. She wrote on Twitter and later deleted it, but it was still on the article. The fact that I was here to talk about disability inclusion in fashion at a fashion event that excluded me, it's laughable, but it's not a joke. It's real life and a reality to so many disabled people every single day. I need to repeat this, okay? She was in contact with them for a year about their lack of disabled representation. They asked her to come over to a seminar to talk about this, fully aware that she was a wheelchair user, and didn't dedicate 1 minute to consider if she would have access to the thing they invited her to. How do you fuck up this badly? How little do you care? As she said, it's something that is way too common in the lives of so many disabled people. But as a positive thing, I would like to share a wonderful tweet by Tara Moss regarding wheelchairs. Wheelchairs are freedom machines. They are chariots of independence. Please stop describing wheelchairs in negative terms. Stuck in, confined to, etc. Having a wheelchair is frankly awesome for those who use them and would be so much more so in a more accessible world. I love this so much. So going back to SK8 The Infinity, am I saying Ranga is disabled? No? But I do think that Ranga is autistic and Deki has ADHD. I might be like projecting because I like to imagine that the people in the shows that I watch are like me, but it's my fan headcanon, okay? Nobody can take that away from me. But that's not the point. The point is that Ranga's journey with skateboarding is a great representation of accommodation done right. His snowboarding background makes it harder for him to learn how to skateboard than someone who is just starting from zero, at least in the beginning. He is used to specific movements and sensations and can't let them go to learn skateboarding the standard way. But that's never seen as a bad thing or as a negative or as a setback. It's just something that needs to be worked around. He misses his feet being attached to the board. Why not attach them? He needs the board to be more stable. Let's make it wider. The way the wheels act when it turns makes him fall. Let's change the way they act. Why not? If it's gonna help you, we should do it. He's never made to feel bad about needing accommodations, it's just the reality. It's not a burden on Reki, who is modding the board. He is eager to make it as good as possible for his friend, and he comes up with the ideas himself. And by making his board more accessible, Ranga gets so good. It's not that he isn't capable, he was never the problem. The problem were the things that were disabling him that get sorted. I've heard the line, "You have so much potential, if only you applied yourself, you could be so great," from many different people in my life. And they were right in that I have potential, but they just couldn't see that I was already trying so hard. It's just, I wasn't in an environment made for someone like me to succeed in. I was not the problem. The problem was that my undiagnosed neurodivergencies made it super hard for me to do what the neurotypicals around me seemed to have like no problem doing. No one ever considered that the problem wasn't me but outside factors. My failure was my own personal failure, and that's, led to me feeling not great about myself and my capabilities. So I don't know, watching this show about two gay skateboarders made me feel kind of seen and happy. It made me wish I had a Reki in my life to put straps on my executive dysfunction. That's so dumb. Disabled people deserve accommodations. We deserve every accommodation needed for us to be able to access the world and society and just thrive. Remember Raven and her experience I talked about earlier? Well, the other day she shared something really nice on Twitter. "Hey ADHDers, my assistant forwarded me this email and we both agreed that it's the most thoughtful email that's been sent our way. Thank you." Heart emoji. And the email says, please load. "Thank you, just a few follow-up questions. I have Raven's pronouns she, her, and question about biology, I don't know." Then it says, "I have read that Raven has ADHD. Are there any accommodations that we can make during the interview? Is Raven okay with talking about having ADHD if it comes up?" It's that simple. Reading that made me and so many other commenters so happy. Like, it really is that simple. Just ask. If you're not sure, we will tell you. I am aware of what I need. I don't know, it just made me so happy to read that. It's just so simple. I also really like the question about the pronouns. I feel like this video was just like all over the place. Like, at first I saw this anime and I was like, oh, this anime is really cool and it's really nice and it has things to say about disability and accommodations and stuff. It would be a really cool video idea. And then I started to write and I got in my feelings. And my cute little essay turned into whatever this was. I want to emphasize that I am me. I only speak for myself, and I'm sure there will be disabled people who disagree with me on the things that I've said. I also don't have all the solutions, like I'm very dumb, but I do have an affinity for writing and video editing, so here we are. So yeah, watch SK8 The Infinity, it's really good. And let's hope they give us a second season or a movie or something. I'm hoping for a second season. Like, it's already become my new hyperfixation and I need more content to feed it. I've made it my phone background, okay? It's that serious. And now I'm gonna pick up my skateboard and I'm gonna become the hot sapphic skateboarder I was born to be. Thank you for watching. Seriously, please watch this show. This wasn't a review of the show, so I didn't really talk about it, but it's so good. Like, everything is amazing. The color palette's incredible. The animation, like, it's just, honestly, it blows my mind. I am obsessed with it. I need a second season. Please make it happen, please.